You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the Giants sweep the doubleheader against the Rockies. And what a day for Giants starting pitchers. After Blake Snell gave us 6 innings pitched and 15 Ks, the 22-year-old rookie Hayden Birdsong struck out 8 Rockies in 5 shutout innings. The Giants starters combined today for 11 innings pitched, 0 runs, and 23 strikeouts. That's absolutely insane. The Giants offense was much better in the second game today than they were in the first, as they collected 11 hits in the back end of the doubleheader and even batted .300 with runners in scoring position. Someone give this entire team medals, because my God, that's an Olympic-sized accomplishment for this Giants squad. And just for good measure, Tyler Fitzgerald did it again. Another blast over the wall, and this kid might be the hottest hitter in all of baseball right now. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you get the show, we appreciate it. Make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. This one, Giants got on the board early. Bottom one, Jorge Soler singles, leadoff single, and Mike Yastrzemski triples off the right field wall to score Soler. The Giants have been hitting a ton of triples lately. It's 3 consecutive games with the triple. And then they don't get that guy on third in all 3 of these situations. They have not been able to score the runner from third when a guy hits a triple with 1 out or less. And that happened again this time. But at least the Giants were able to get a runner on in front of Yastrzemski, as Soler scored on that Mike Yastrzemski triple, gave the Giants an early 1-0 lead. The rest of that inning went Ramos ground out and Michael Conforto strikeout. And Michael Conforto is just, I mean, for everything we just talked about with Blake Snell in our show, like 2 hours ago, with how much he's just ballooned his trade value and all these different scenarios the Giants have with him. With Michael Conforto, this guy is just free falling. His value is absolutely in the basement right now. I think your best bet with him is the Mets, a team that he's played for before and that he's been linked to and that knows what he can do. He made an all-star team with them. I think the Mets are probably the only team that's going to really give you anything of worth for Michael Conforto at this point. If they can even get a prospect back for him, that would be phenomenal. He's essentially the same guy as Mike Yastrzemski. But a worse defender. So I'd much rather keep ship off Conforto and keep rolling with what the Giants have other than him in the outfield. They have so many other options at this point. They just have way too many guys in that outfield, and Conforto makes sense to move. He's a plus bat, not playing like it lately for the Giants, but maybe a change of scenery back to New York could help him out. The Mets have been linked to him in multiple trade discussions, so we'll see how much longer this guy stays in a Giants uniform. This is his last year with the Giants, and I highly doubt he's re-signing. So that's the number one guy that they need to move at the deadline is Michael Conforto, and today he did not do the Giants any favors in creating any kind of trade value for himself. So that was kind of a bummer, but the Giants still had some hitting to do. Matt Chapman, a leadoff double in the bottom of the second inning. Brett Wisely doubles to score him. Giants lead 2-0. VR singles, puts runners at the corners, and Casali then comes up and lays down a sac bunt, nearly scored Brett Wisely. Remember that Lamont Wade Jr. slide from the other night where he did that nice swim move while he was sliding to the outside of the bag? Lamont Wade Jr., Brett Wisely almost recreated that tonight, but just barely at the last second, that Rockies catcher laid down the tag on Wisely. Got him by like the excess flap on the jersey that's just hanging out there. Wisely didn't even feel him touch him. So Wisely looked distraught when they overturned that one. He was so convinced he was safe. And I understand why. He didn't feel that tag laid down at all. In Wisely's, world, that glove completely missed him. So it was a very close play. Wisely was out by just a millimeter, man. Like just barely got there in time. And the Giants could not do anything else that inning as Jorge Soler promptly hit into a double play after that to end the threat. In the top of the third, Hayden Birdsong was already cruising by this point, but he showed some prowess, some veteran prowess in the top of the third. Mike Krukow even pointed it out. He was fawning over Birdsong today. But Birdsong had Tovar on first base, and he kind of held him there for a little bit longer than he normally does. And he waited till he got Tovar leaning and then threw over to first, didn't just look and throw. And that's a veteran move. That's not a move you see very many 22-year-old starting pitchers who are making their sixth career start making out there. I mean, Hayden Birdsong looked like a veteran, like he has all season long since he's been brought up. Very heady play, waited until Tovar was leaning and tried to extend that lead before throwing over and got him. Just got him dead to rights, got him in a pickle, and the Giants made the play to get him out. And Mike Krukow was just obsessed over this play. And I get why. And anytime that something, ticks up a little radar on Mike Krukow's radar, it should send a little flag to all Giants fans like that. Krukow knows pitching better than almost anybody that I have heard break down pitching. Like Mike Krukow and Sean Estes might be the two best guys at breaking down what you're seeing from Giants starting pitchers. And what he told me about Hayden Birdsong today during the game tells me everything I already thought about this kid, that this guy is well advanced beyond his years, plays like a seasoned veteran, even though he's only 22 years old. And on top of that, he's got electric stuff on the mound, knows how to win with his arm and with his brain. And that's what he was doing out there today, pairing both of them together to make it happen. He pitched 5 shutout innings. As I said, Birdsong only gave up 3 hits, 3 walks, so 6 total base runners and 8 strikeouts. He also didn't allow a run. His ERA is now sub 3. Dude has a 3-0 record with a 2.97 ERA. I mean, Hayden Birdsong, what more could you have expected from this kid? And he's given you so much opportunity now because all these other Giants pitchers have kind of fallen off and not lived up to expectations, with the exception of Logan Webb. He's, made the All-Star team. He's doing what he always does. Hayden Birdsong, though, this was unexpected. And this guy has come on the scene with just just ready to go. Like, this guy is the most big league ready pitcher that I have seen come up for the Giants probably since Madison Bumgarner. This guy is that good. I'm not saying he's going to be Mad Bum, but he is, so ready for the spotlight, so ready for the big time moments. Nothing phases this kid. And he just looks so, locked in every time he's out there. He's out there talking to himself all the time. I saw in the comments earlier, Bob, my guy Bob, it's only a matter of time before Pitching Ninja, the Twitter account, or John Boy, Pitching Ninja is owned by John Boy. Between those two guys, one of them's going to have to do like a lip reading breakdown on Hayden Birdsong, because this guy's always up there talking to himself. And it's probably not the nicest things he's saying to himself, but he's always getting himself juiced, ready to go. A lot of 4-letter words I can read from that guy's lips flying around. So, but fiery competitor. Dude is just wants to win every time that he's out there. He wants to win every single pitch. You see him walk off the mound after a scoreless inning, but maybe he gave up a hit on a good pitch, and he's angry, was so upset that he got beat on a ball on just one pitch, and he doesn't seem to stew on it. He just uses it as motivation, continues to reach back there and grab that 97-mile-an-hour fastball and just blow it by dudes. Hayden Birdsong was absolutely dominant tonight. We've come to expect this from this kid at this point. This is who he is, and this is who he's going to be going forward. Birdsong has been so good, just absolutely money since he got brought up. And he's been doing it more with the curveball, using that curveball more and more today. Threw it 31 times to 38 four-seamers. He almost split his usage of the four-seam fastball and of the curveball, and he was getting a ton of swing and misses. We talked about Blake Snell setting a record for 30 swings and misses, the most swings and misses of any pitcher this season. In the prior game today, Hayden Birdsong didn't have quite that many, but he had 20 swings and misses, a 39% whiff rate. He was awesome today. Absolutely dominant on the mound. Nobody could really touch him. He didn't give up very much at all. He threw the one thing where he did kind of get caught is when he was throwing that slider. The average exit velocity on that slider today, he only threw it 15 times, but the average exit velo 102.8. So maybe back off on using that slider a little bit if you're Hayden Birdsong. But everything else, all the metrics from the changeup had a 41% swing and miss rate, or excuse me, a 67% swing and miss rate, a 41% called strikes plus whiff rate. So that was pretty solid for Hayden Birdsong today. He's just been doing this nonstop since he got called up to the bigs again. 3-0, and today scoreless, 5 innings of work and 8 strikeouts. Man, just looked so good, and he looked so calm and collected. Yeah, he's fiery and like yelling at himself, but never at any point did you feel like he was letting anything slip away or he was pressing too much. He was just doing his thing out there, man. That's just who this guy is. The Giants continued to pad on to their lead. Hayden Birdsong in this Giants bullpen, which, by the way, the bullpen did a great job of standing tall and holding this down for Birdsong. Didn't give up any runs and only gave up 1 hit the rest of the way. But the offense continued to score a little bit more runs. So Casale, leadoff single in the bottom of the 5th. Soler then rips a double down the left field line. He hit that ball so hard, just didn't quite barrel it the right, barrel it up enough. Yes, sac fly, scores the runner from third base. Then after they got runners at second and third, after that Soler double, that sac fly also sends Soler to third base, gives the Giants a 3-0 lead. And then Elliot Ramos with the infield in finally comes up with a hit with runners in scoring position today. This dude had so many opportunities and finally came through, but it wasn't his best hit of the year. Shallow pop fly into right field, but since the infield was playing in, it managed to fall, and Soler scored. Giants got a 4-0 lead, and then, of course, in San Francisco Giants fashion, Michael Conforto ground into double play to end the inning and to plummet his trade value even further into the basement. The Giants bullpen really did the work from there, and it just kept striking guys out and kept doing their thing. Sean Jelly, 2 strikeouts. Taylor Rogers, 1 strikeout. Eric Miller, 2 strikeouts. So the bullpen combined for 5 more strikeouts, giving the Giants 13 Ks. Giants pitchers had 13 Ks in this second game of the doubleheader after Blake Snell by himself had 15 in the first one. Just an absolutely great day for Giants pitching. And of course, we got to mention Tyler Fitzgerald. In the bottom of the 8th, Fitzgerald, another blanket home run. This kid is on fire. Explain to me why Michael Conforto was ahead of this guy in the Giants lineup today. Why was Michael Conforto batting 4th and Tyler Fitzgerald batting 5th? One of these guys just seems to pound the ball into the ground every time he's up and can't get a sac fly even when the Giants just need a productive out. Can't do it. Can only give you a strikeout if you're Michael Conforto. But Tyler Fitzgerald, meanwhile, now has, 8 home runs in his last 10 games? This dude is on another planet. He has been so good. I mean, he's done some things that we haven't seen in baseball done since Babe Ruth. We'll get into that on the other side. But, for my money, this guy is absolutely part of the Giants' future going forward. He is in the mix, solidified himself. If he hasn't solidified himself as an everyday player going forward for the rest of the season, I don't know what more this guy needs to do. He's got 9 home runs on the season, 8 of them in the last 10 games. This guy has come on so hard since Nick Ahmed was DFA'd. And maybe that's all this guy needed was a big time vote of confidence. And that's what he got from the management and Bob Melvin and Farhan when they traded away or DFA'd Nick Ahmed and basically created an avenue for Tyler Fitzgerald to be an everyday starter. And this guy's rewarded them big time. It's paid off for the Giants in very big ways. He's also one of the only guys on this base that can steal, or on this team that can steal a base. He's so valuable to this team, adds so much dimension to your offense. And that swing, by the way, for as slight as a guy as Fitzgerald is, he has such a thin frame. That swing is very repeatable, very easy. It doesn't look like he's really torquing his body all that much. He's just got a perfect bat path through that zone, and it looks so pretty right now watching this guy hit. It has been so fun. And also, obviously, Camilo Doval pitched that first game, so he wasn't going to be ready for the second one. I did not think Spencer Bivens was going to be the guy to come in and shut the door, but he did. They had a 5-run lead. Maybe it would have been different if it was a save scenario. Nonetheless, Spencer Bivens comes in, shuts the door, no problem for the Giants in the 5-0 victory over the Rockies. And the Giants now are in position to sweep this series against the Rockies after starting 2-5 out of the All-Star break. They come back and have a chance to reel off 4 in a row. This team makes me want to bash my head through a window half the time. I can't handle this, man. You had 6 hits in your first game and you barely came away with 1 hit. Just you had that one Pat Bailey hit that broke it open. And you, thank God, got enough runs to escape that first game with a win. And then you come out today in the second half and you score 5 runs on 11 hits and you hit 300 with runners in scoring position. 333, actually. What the heck, man? This is really frustrating. I just want this Giants team to be consistent, but we know that they're not. They're the furthest thing from that. And their record reflects that. They're 52-55 after the win today. They could be up to 53-55 if they win tomorrow and sweep this series. Giants are, barreling towards the All-Star break, barreling towards the trade deadline. And I don't know what to make of this team, man. I really don't. Are they a playoff contender? They could be. Are they big-time sellers at the trade deadline? They could also be that too. This team is so incredibly frustrating, man. But one thing is for sure, Hayden Birdsong, Tyler Fitzgerald are huge pieces of this team's future success. Brett Wisely also had a nice game today with that double and the almost scored on that nice slide. That slide, don't take anything away from that slide that he had with that swim move just because that tag got laid down at the last second. That was a beautiful play by Wisely to even make it remotely close at the dish the way he did. But this Giants team, man, I think you got to just bet on the youth at this point. And maybe because Birdsong has proven himself to be such a hot commodity at the big league level, you can maybe afford to move on from a guy like Carson Whisenhunt at the trade deadline. We're on the other side. We got to take a quick break here. We'll break down more of Hayden Birdsong's day, more of Tyler Fitzgerald's day as well. And maybe later on in the show, we'll go through some possible trade scenarios for the San Francisco Giants. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll be right back. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Stick with us here on the Locked On Giants postcast. This episode of the Locked On Giants postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival's city. We have the best park in the big leagues here in the city by the bay, but it's fun to go on the road and see the Giants. If you're looking for a little adventure, start checking out some other MLB stadiums when the Giants are on the road. I know I want to eventually get to them all, even Dodger Stadium at least once. I thankfully have already checked that one off the list, but there's so many other stadiums I need to go see in Major League Baseball. Petco, Fenway. Thankfully I got out to Wrigley last year, but there's just so many stadiums in baseball that I need to go see still. And I know a lot of you are in the same situation. So why not head over to Booking.com and see what you can get into this summer? From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. Today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And right now, the surest bet of them all is Tyler Fitzgerald anytime home run until this guy cools off. Just every day, do it. Do it. If you would bet Tyler Fitzgerald anytime home run for his last 10 games, you would be a rich man right now. So you should probably continue to do that or start doing it if you aren't. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone all day, every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants sweep the Rockies in this doubleheader, in this scheduled doubleheader, take both games and hold the Rockies to just one. The pitching today was unreal for the Giants, and we shined a little bit of light on everyone else, on Snell, on Birdsong. We didn't bring up the bullpen yet, but today, in this second game of this doubleheader, they only gave up 1 hit. Spencer Bivens gave it up there in the ninth, that one single. But other than that, no runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts for this bullpen over 4 innings of work. That's really, really, really solid. And that's what this bullpen can do, especially when you have starting pitchers that continuously turn in good outings. And that's what's been happening at least these last 3 days or 2 days when the Giants have been on this little 3-game win streak now that they have going for them. Blake Snell, dominant. The bullpen picks up right where he left off. Hayden Birdsong, dominant. Bullpen picks up right where he left off, and both result in Giants wins. A big part of that, though, at least today, was Tyler Fitzgerald, man. I mean, another home run for this guy. He has now hit 8 in his last 10 games. And this guy, as I said earlier, is doing stuff that we haven't seen since Babe Ruth, man, since that long ago. Tyler Fitzgerald, I mean, yesterday, he went 3 for 5, recorded his first multi-home run game. I mean, prior to today's games, prior to both of today's doubleheader matchups with the Giants and Rockies, Fitzgerald had an OPS over 1,400, man. That's absolutely incredible. And he had a 5-game home run streak, a multi-home run game, of over 5 walks in that time frame, and scored a run in every single one of those games. It's a lot of stats, but the only player to ever achieve doing all of those things in that same amount of time was Babe Ruth in 1921, from June 9th to June 16th. That's according to Opta Stats. And this guy is just out of his mind right now. Out of his mind. Since July 9th, when he played against Toronto, and then he had a big gap where he didn't play again until the 20th. The All-Star break was mixed in there. He is batting .429, 15 hits, 8 home runs, 15 hits, 13 RBIs, 13 runs scored, 10 games. This guy's averaging a hit and a half per game, almost averaging a home run per game in this same stretch. Tyler Fitzgerald needs to be in the lineup every single day going forward. I don't care where you play this guy. Play him at short, play him in the outfield, play him at second, play him at first. I don't care. Put this guy in the lineup every single day. He can steal you bases even when he eventually cools off, because nobody can do this forever. He's a productive at-bat every single time. He grinds out walks. He's a guy who knows how to lay down a bunt. He's a guy who doesn't strike out that much. This guy is so solid for the Giants. I am very excited about this guy and what he adds to this Giants team for the future. And the fact that he's so versatile defensively, you can find a spot for him anywhere on this team. Tyler Fitzgerald is here to stay. I mean, he is here to stay. I also don't ever want to see Michael Conforto batting ahead of this guy in the Giants lineup ever again. That's got to be one of the worst decisions I've seen Bob Melvin make this entire year, although it didn't really hurt the Giants today at all. The Giants still obviously won 5-0. But this guy needs as many at-bats as he can possibly get. You can't tell me that Michael Conforto deserves more at-bats than Tyler Fitzgerald right now. Tyler Fitzgerald is hitting over 100 points better in batting average than Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto's OPS, 697. Tyler Fitzgerald's 1,048. I think I know which guy I want batting cleanup. I mean, come on, man. So Tyler Fitzgerald deserves all of the flowers right now. This guy deserves to be an everyday player going forward. And I don't expect him. I mean, I expect him to cool off. I don't expect him to just fall off the face of the planet, though. This guy's swing is really nice. His bat path is beautiful. That swing is very repeatable and easy on his body. He's not up there like just, torquing his body in crazy ways. It's really frustrating. I still don't know if this team will be able to do enough to buy at the break. If they do, you got to go buy a bat, and you got to make sure they're under team control. We just talked about this in our last show about 2 hours ago, but you need to go do that and secure that at the deadline. Hayden Birdsong gives you a little bit more flexibility, maybe because Birdsong is going to be a solid starter at the big league level now, and you got Harrison, you got Webb, you got all these other pitchers on the Giants staff going into next season. You of course, have some of the other young arms, Carson Wisenhunt, Mason Black. Can you afford to move one of these guys? And I think the answer is yes. And I think the guy that you should move is Carson Wisenhunt. He's still ranked higher than a lot of these other Giants players. I think he's still the number one pitching prospect in the system other than Kyle Harrison. So this guy is obviously going to be held in very high regard amongst other teams that need a starter going forward. And maybe that allows you to maybe go shop around and maybe go get a guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr. out of the Blue Jays system. It certainly gives you more possibility and more flexibility when this guy is pitching well than if he hadn't been. And this kind of bails the Giants out of that Keaton Wynn hole that he put them in. I mean, Hayden Birdsong's coming on like we kind of hoped Keaton Wynn would. And a lot of us, I frankly expected Keaton Wynn to put in a pretty good season this year. And he's been so incredibly disappointing. That would have given the Giants the ultimate flexibility at the trade deadline to move a guy like Blake Snell. And maybe you still can. There's a lot of options the Giants have. I mean, you can move prospects or you can move veterans. You have plenty of veterans on this roster that you can sell. Or if you're trying to buy, you can move some prospects. The Giants really can go either direction. One thing is for certain, they can't do nothing. If you do nothing, this team will continue to sputter around 500, probably finish a game or two below 500, probably about 80 wins on the season, and miss the playoffs by a game or two. And that's absolutely the worst case scenario. That's not what anyone wants in the Giants fan base. Do something. Just do something. Let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we'll get into some of those potential. I got another hypothetical for you guys. I threw out the Vlad Guerrero Jr. I got one more hypothetical I want to throw out there from a couple other teams that could be buying in the American League East. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll come at you with some trade hypotheticals on the other side. See how you guys enjoy that, or maybe not. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. And did I mention it's free? Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com-T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and I just want to throw some trade scenarios at you guys. I know the Giants won this one 5-0 over the Rockies. They're now in position for a sweep in this series, but the main story, the main takeaway from this game, the Giants, the guys that they want to sell, the Blake Snells, if they do end up selling, Blake Snell has got to be at the top of the list of players to sell. Maybe if you're buying on the other side of the coin, prospects are who you're going to look to trade to get proven commodities at the big league level. The takeaway from today is that the Giants got better in both of these categories. Hayden Birdsong gives you the ability, him solidifying that he is going to be a proven success at the big league level, solidifies that you can trade some of these other prospects, a Mason Black, a Carson Wisenhunt. Blake Snell doing what he did today also shows you can just trade that guy and get just a haul back, the biggest haul of all of the trade deadline, very likely, if you choose to move on from Blake Snell. I mean, there's a lot of different directions the Giants can go right now, and we just hypothesized the Vlad Guerrero deal. That's a name that's been thrown out a lot. Obviously, the Blue Jays are very underperforming. For big hitting first baseman is something the Giants have needed for a very, very long time. But there's some other options that the Giants could have. I was actually ping-ponging some ideas around with KMBR's Walter Icabalseta, the producer for the afternoon show, and sometimes he ends up doing some Giants pre and post. I don't really know what that guy does over there. He's like their idea machine. I don't know anyone else over there coming up with great ideas like Walt. So he and I love Walt. We worked together for many years, and we were ping-ponging some trade ideas back and forth, and we ended up settling on one that thought kind of interesting. And I was thinking maybe Blake Snell for Dominguez from the Yankees. I know that he's coming off of a major surgery, a major injury. This kid, the Martian, is his nickname. You don't get a nickname like the Martian just by being an average everyday player. This kid has the potential to be really, really good. And the Yankees have a plethora of middle infielders that are playing really well right now. And he's a very young guy, very, very young guy that could be inserted into the heart of this order. I mean, he's a very strong hitter, very good defender. He could be a 5-tool player for the Giants. Jason Dominguez going forward. And another team that needs some pitching help in that same division, the Baltimore Orioles, and maybe a guy like Kobe Mayo could be on the Giants' radar if they want to start to add one of those. I mean, the Orioles are just so flush with plenty of early first round picks that they just don't have room for all of them, and they need a starting pitcher, another starting pitcher to pair with Corbin Burns, a ace 1B, if you will. And I mean, they have so many guys. Kurtzchad, or however the heck you say that guy's name. He's got like a K, a S, a J, and all in his last name, like all in a row. So it's really hard to say if you're not like from a Soviet bloc country. So I obviously am mispronouncing his name. But I mean, this whole trade deadline should be chock full of opportunities for the Giants to get better. And this series is kind of shaping up in a way that sets the Giants up to have a nice trade deadline. And that would be a huge win for this team, especially considering the state of the franchise right now. But I mean, could you go get a Kobe Mayo? Could you go get a Dominguez from the Yankees? Maybe. I mean, I doubt they would trade Volpe with the season that he's having, but that's another young middle infielder that they have. Gleyber Torres has been on a tear lately for the Yankees. So they have flexibility in those middle infield positions, and the Giants need to go get either a solid bat at shortstop or a solid bat at first base. Those are the two biggest holes that they have on this team for sure. Tyler Fitzgerald is a nice bat. I don't know if he's a shortstop for the future. He's a fine everyday utility guy, filling in at short, splitting time at short. I don't know that you want him there every single day. He's gotten a lot better. He's not booting, normal, average, routine ground balls anymore. And he's making nice sliding plays. That nice sliding play that he made behind second base a couple days ago with the glove flip to second base to get the runner, that was amazing. So Fitzgerald has gotten a lot better at second base, but I mean, they have plenty of different options that they could go with at the trade deadline. And I need them to do something. Don't do nothing. Do something, please, for the love of God. Knowing Farhan and what he's done, it'll probably be a mixed bag. It'll be probably a little of both. And it probably won't be a commitment, a full commitment to one or the other. And that is unbelievably frustrating. I want this team to take a stand, get better for the future, or make a playoff run. Stop with this middle of the road BS and do something, please. Or get off the pot. You know what I mean? Come on, Farhan. Get us, go into the trade deadline and get us something useful for the future. Whether that's a big bat, you can slide into the middle of this order right now that's under team control for the future, or whether that's prospects for a guy like Blake Snell or even a Chapman or a Soler if you're looking at selling. So let's see what the Giants do. You got about 3 more days until this trade deadline hits. So not much time left. The Giants also in that time have a chance to finish a 4-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies. And that would be nice, man, especially after they played so terribly in Coors Field coming out of the All-Star break. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a revenge against those Rockies and polish those rocks off. You know what I mean? So the Giants get a 5-0 win over the Rockies today. Hayden Birdsong, 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, 0 runs, and the bullpen held it down as well. Tyler Fitzgerald goes yard, 8 homers in his last 10 games. All sounds great in Giants land right now. If only they could do this for more than 3 to 5 games at a time. But that's been the hallmark of this team this year, has been inconsistency. Just when you don't want to believe anymore, you do something to reel you back in, and then as soon as you start believing, they do something to make you just say this team sucks. So we're right back on that track. And so if I know these 2024 Giants, which I think I do, I don't know if they finish off this sweep tomorrow. I'm just saying. That's all the time we got for you on the Locked On Giants postcast today. Don't forget, tomorrow, Jung-Hoo Lee bobblehead day out at the yard. I'm going to go try and get out there and get me a bobblehead myself. If you know me, you know I love my bobbleheads, and you know I love Jung-Hoo Lee. So I got to get out there and try and snag me one. And we'll come to you live afterwards, still just the same on the Locked On Giants postcast as we do every day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Ingle. We'll see you next time. Peace.